Hey guys, welcome back to the channel, and in this video we're going to talk about the eliminations for Ready to Love season 4 episode 5 when it comes to Stacy and Tressa and why were they eliminated. So before we jump into this video, if you're new here, hit that subscribe button, turn on your notifications. If you like the video, smash the like button, and also feel free to drop a comment down in the comment section below. So without further ado, let's jump into this video. So of course it starts off with nephew Tommy getting everybody ready for what the shenanigans are for the evening. But let's start off talking about Stacy, because we're talking about elimination. So she was meeting up with Ron as they had a dinner date where he had to cook. And for the most part, at the beginning, everything kind of started on the right foot until she started trying to see what her position was in regards to whether she was number one on his list or not. I mean, Ron actually had interest in Stacy, and he kind of wanted to see, pretty much the depth of their interest. But when she started asking these questions, especially when it came to her, as they called them, freaking frack, her sidekick, Chrysanthemum, trying to make him choose in between which one. And I think Alexis is also in this mix as well. And she was really trying to get an answer on that statement, and Ron just wasn't feeling it. He pretty much was like, why are we talking about this? I'm trying to get to know you, see where this is and where it can go, and you kind of making me want to or have to push a decision on who my top choice is. And I think that was one of the things that definitely didn't sit well with him, because when you're trying to sit down and get to know somebody, you're trying to get to know them to see what direction you're going to take and whether or not this is something that's going to work out, whether you have a connection. But when that person kind of backs you in a corner trying to get you to say something that you're not really ready to say, it's definitely going to cause a problem. And pretty much that was the real drama of this episode when it came to Ron. He was kind of flying under the radar. And then, of course, we learned Stacy and Chris and Alexis had something going on with him. And there was this whole jealousy thing. Stacy kind of was egging it on. And the thing is, being that, and I think he was more pushed toward Alexis. I don't know if Chrysanthemum was actually in his top, but Alexis was definitely in there. And, with all of that going on, it was just a situation where they ended up almost just canceling each other out, making Ron's interest in Alexis even stronger. So, I mean, she should have just relaxed, had a good time, spend some time to get to know him, spend some time to see if there is even a connection with him. You want somebody to choose you and put you in first place or whatever. That person has to realize if there's even a connection first. And I think she just kind of jumped the gun a little bit. So that's strike one. Let's talk about what happened at the ball. Because Ready to Love had their first, annual masquerade ball, and everybody was gorgeous and whatnot. However, we had both, as they call it, freaking frack, Stacy and Chrysanthemum, who honestly have became BFFs, and Ron is obviously, he got some interest. There was some things in conversation that Stacy was having with the guys, and it just didn't sit well. It did not sit well at all. I mean, they would try to get to know her, or they wanted to get to know her or Chrysanthemum, but they were pretty much hanging out together most of the night. And, that's the purpose of the ball, was to get dressed up, look really nice. You're on this extravagant evening gown or suited and booted date. And you need to take this time to get to know the guys, because it's one thing to make girlfriends here. I mean, Ready to Love and Ready to Make BFFs, that's not the same show, okay? But the thing is that there's nothing wrong with making girlfriends, but in the context of what this show is about, you only have a short amount of time to make decisions, and to make a connection. But at any given week, you can be eliminated. And of course, we see what happened. So, these two, obviously, they kept Chrysanthemum around because, they felt that there's more connection. But when it came to outside of Chrysanthemum and, again, the guys that she was able to connect with, Stacy was just rubbing, from what we saw on the show, it just rubbed these guys the wrong way. They tried to have a chance to talk and with her, but it just wasn't there. How can you be in a situation kind of like being on a those singles dates where it's really fast paced and you around there making friendships when you're supposed to be connecting with somebody who you can have a romantic interest with? And I think they got kind of tipsy that night. And great, they're grown, it's a party or whatnot, but the cameras definitely did highlight that night as well. And the guys probably saw it too, because Nephew Tommy did ask them, what do you think about some of the people, some of the women tonight and any connections? And the first thing that came up was the term frickin' frack, meaning, Stacy and Chrysanthemum, and how trying to get out of, get them apart so they could at least get a chance to know them. It was a difficult thing for them. So that's the thing with Stacy that night. Let's talk about our other girl who was eliminated, and that was Tressa. And the guys didn't get a deep connection with her. There was some conversations with Ron. Again, Ron is flying under the radar. So, I don't think he had a deep connection with Tressa, but he did try to see what's there. It wasn't nothing set in stone when it came to her. However, there was this date that I think her and Diedrich had at this, I think it's a places where you buy spices and stuff like that. And they had made a connection on the previous episode, as you remember. I think if she and he, granted, he was trying to get a feel, because it started out great, I should say, and she was excited to see him. He was excited to see her, coming off of, the chemistry that they had in the last episode. Diedrich really wanted to see what's there. He wanted to see if it's just friendship, or one of my girls I can roll with type of vibe, or a friend, versus somebody of a romantic connection. And it just wasn't clicking. And I don't think it was, an issue, because he was definitely attracted to her. He was attracted to what she was bringing to the table. But I think she kind of put her guards up a little bit. And so she wanted him to be more assertive, but he saw nothing but walls. And that's the thing. If she kind of communicated that and said, hey, I want to get to know you. I know we have a limited amount of time. But at the same time, I like a guy that's a little bit more, aggressive and want to come after me. And maybe he would have been like, okay. But because she didn't communicate that, and at the same time, Diedrich didn't communicate the fact that, why are your walls up? Why are we just in this zone? It came off as being in a friendship zone. And no connection was established. And that was so disappointing, because I was hoping for these two. They were really they were clicking in the previous episode. And she knew that. And of course he did, which is why I think they really tried to push this date between these two. But it just wasn't vibing. I think one of them had something, I won't say it was rude, but it kind of condescending to say to each other. And it just turned left. It just didn't work out. And I know she could probably feel the vibes. You can definitely feel an energy shift when something is off, because you can tell the energy that they had in the previous date versus the energy that was in this episode. And so, sometimes if you're feeling a little reserved, communicate that. That's what she needed to do, to let him know how she was feeling in that moment. And maybe they could have got on the same page, And that was the same thing. We really didn't get to see a lot of her at that ball either. So it was time for deliberation with the guys and nephew Tommy. And the biggest thing that, they had the girls that was at the top of the list, and of course the ones that was at the bottom of the list. And the one thing that came up first with Stacy is the whole freaking frack situation. And how, the guys were wanting to make connections, but they seem to be joined at the hip. And when you got two girlfriends like that, could it be something that could turn messy? Because if you're interested in one and that one go and tell the other person that's interested in that same guy, it was a sticky situation. I think that the guys did not really want to get into. And then they also brought up the fact of the masquerade ball, and how they were pretty much almost joined together at the hip, and not allowing that time and opportunity to be able to, just get a chance to know and build a connection. And so they put Stacy out of the freaking frat couple on the chopping block, and I actually thought she was going to go pretty far. I don't know. Let me know what you guys think. But honestly, I think that date with Ron, it really did not go well at all. The date that she had with one of the other gentlemen, it just didn't sit well, and it's so unfortunate because they were truly interested. And because of her trying to, from what we saw on the show, kind of back the guys in a corner to make a decision, oh, I'm your top choice, they weren't ready to make that yet, especially when they have other interests. So, of course, we see where, she had a sit-down conversation, and it was time to kind of break the news. And actually, I only thought they had one elimination. They actually had two. But we'll talk about the second one in a little bit. But, he was breaking it down for her, letting her know, hey, we was trying to build a connection, but it just wasn't vibing. I mean, some of the answers that that you gave us to some of the questions that we asked, it just didn't sit well. Stacy, she got eliminated. So, because she was less so forming relationships and more raising red flags when it comes to different things with these guys. So the interesting thing, though, I will say about the show, is when they eliminate them, they'll tell them you are not ready to love. Now, I don't know if I agree with the wording. Let me know what you think. Shouldn't it be like we felt that we didn't have a connection or something? That doesn't mean she wasn't ready to love. She's just not maybe connecting with them. Who knows? I don't know. That's just me. But she was eliminated, and her facial responses, she was upset. And the interesting thing about her, leaving at this point, she said that her kids were rooting for her, because I think she has 3 children. And she said the kids were rooting for me, and I got to go back and tell them that it didn't work out and I let them down, and they're going to feel so bad. And I'm like, okay, were you dating for yourself or dating for all of them? Now, granted, if you got young children, you got to blend that in. But it made it appear that this was some type of win that she was going to receive, that the kids were going to be so ecstatic about. I don't know. I could be wrong. Let me know what you guys think about her explanation on her way out, and how upset she was, and how she felt she was going to let her kids down by not finding somebody on a TV show. I don't know. That was highly interesting, to say the least. But she was really emotional about it. Now, she didn't get mad and throw a fit and tell somebody to talk to the couch. And, I guess I'm referring to that whole Naya situation from season 3. But her responses or reactions to, him saying that she was not ready to love and her being eliminated, hopefully Stacey will find her person. It just wasn't any of the guys on that show. And maybe, she'll look back at this and, see what differences could have been made. Or maybe she'll just, do the way that she's been doing and she'll find her person that way. But that's just my thoughts on her elimination. So we got one more other person. And Diedrich is the one that went on the date, who also was the one that put Tressa on the chopping block as well, because he said that she gave homey vibes. And a lot of the other guys who, of course thought that she could be of interest claim the same thing, the homey vibes. Now, I mean, she's definitely a person that has a bubbly personality. She's an attractive lady. But the thing is that they couldn't see her as more as a friend. Now, my question is, Diedrich tried. Now, I don't know about the other guys because, they had conversations with her. But Diedrich was the one that wanted to do a deep, dive into the connection that he could have possibly had. But it just, at least he got that far. The other guys were saying that they were interested, but at the same time, they didn't go that deep with her. And maybe because they had other connections with other people. I don't know. But it's just so unfortunate because that they only saw that. And, obviously there's so much more to her. And, she was also disappointed about being eliminated as well. I actually thought that she was going to get a little farther than she did, but they also informed her that she was not ready to love either. And she's going to find her person too. I follow her on Instagram. She's doing her thing with being a stand-up comedian. So we'll see what happened with her. And let me know what you guys think about these 2 eliminations. So let's do our post notification shout out. If you want to be shouted out, drop a comment down below. I will see you and shout you out. The first one goes to Melanie. Thank you so much for engaging in the channel. I really appreciate it. The second one goes to Blue, BLEW. Thank you as well for engaging in the channel. And last but not least, the third one goes to Christy Harrison. Thank you as well for your comment and engagement in the channel. So, I hope you enjoyed this video. Like, comment, and subscribe. We will see you in the next one.